Welcome to Weird Games and Weirder People, a podcast about role-playing games and the weird, wonderful people behind them. Hello Weirdos, this is Diogo Nogueira and today we're gonna listen to me and Evlyn Moreau have a great chat about weirdness in our games, in our life, and how we cope with our rituals to create and how it helps us deal with our life. We talked about her work in zines. We talk about how she used to play RPGs back in the day of Vampire the Masquerade, World of Darkness. And we talked about her working in comics. Evlyn is an illustrator from Montreal. She loves to draw strange creatures and to craft zines. Her work mixes illustrations and role-playing game content in a really personal and whimsical way. She's the co-author of any nominated adventure Where the Wheat Grows Tall. She recently illustrated a great module for Mothership RPG, Cleaning of the Prison Station Echo, and Crime Fighting Luchadores. Her work really mixes this whimsical, cutesy vibe with weirdness and sometimes really horror stuff. So her monsters can be really scary, but they have something for you to empathize with. She is publishing a new zine called A Handful of Grumblings. She's gonna put that out really soon. And Evlyn is also a trans woman, and that theme talks in her work, and she's really active in this field, in this subject, and she talks about her journey and her struggles, and even she's a consultant on the team for various publishers, and I think her illustrations that talk about this really help us see this really human side of her and make her work really personal and really authentic, and I like it so much and really speaks to me. And even though of course I don't go through anything that she's going through, her authenticity makes me feel really connected to her, and I really wish I could have met her in a cafe that she goes to do her art, but that's what we got, and I hope you really enjoyed the conversation we had. I learned a lot from her, and let's get weird with Evlyn Moreau. Hello, Evlyn. Welcome to Weird Games and Weirder People. It's so good to have you here. It's so good to see you and talk to you like face to face. Even though it's not the cafe, I see you drawing and creating your stuff. I would love to meet you there and just like drink some coffee, talk a little bit about art and create something there too. But it's what we have, and I'm really grateful to have you here and to talk to you. And how are you?
Hello, I'm doing fine. I'm working on a lot of projects as always.
Yeah. I always see you plugging away and going like every day. It's really inspirational to see someone having this habit and this discipline to try to work on your art every day. I'm reading a book about like doing exactly that, and you inspire me a lot to, no matter what, I would just try to go there and do my work. And Evelyn, for people that are listening to us, they don't know really much about you. I've followed you for years, and I'm fascinated about your work, your creativity. But can you introduce yourself to anyone listening here about who you are, what you do, and how do you approach this art that you combine role-playing games, writing, fiction, and illustration and design all into this perfect bundle of creativity you do?
Uh, yeah, so I'm an illustrator, but I have like a comic book artist background. I studied like comic books, and for a bunch of years, I wanted to do like comics. Uh, Not superhero stuff, more like inspired by European comics because of my French culture side. And but doing comics is very difficult, and eventually I move it toward more just doing illustration. And because I was very interested by role-playing games, I mixed the two together. And so I do illustration for games, illustration for myself, and I also try to write games and adventures. So I love mixing these two things together.
Yeah, I kind of realized that I think artists, even though they're like dedicated to one medium or something they're really passionate about, I think we can kind of help dabble into various things. Like we like illustrating, like graphic, like writing rules. Sometimes we kind of experiment with music. I played drums for a while. I had like a punk rock band. I'm not trying to do a podcast. We're always trying to, because I think when we try new art and learn things about a new art, you always learn something to apply to the field we like the most, I think, right? And
Yeah.
what would you say it's something weird about you that would say, oh yeah, I like Evelyn, yeah, she's weird because of this or that, or what do you think it's weird about you that would you like to share? It doesn't have to be like a overwhelming thing, just like a small detail uh, about you, or the way you drink coffee. Oh, I drink coffee, I put ice or something, and this essence of anything. Just something that people say, oh yeah, I've never seen someone like eating I don't know, peanut butter with pizza or anything like that. It's something you enjoy or something like that.
Uh, hmm, I don't know exactly, but I'll say that when I draw, I always kind of draw as if what I'm drawing is alive. Like I like imagining my little creatures and taking care of them, drawing them like I will draw them a little couch so that they can be cozy, like some miniatures people that I'm summoning on the page. So I really like believing that things are
Yeah,
alive.
that's lovely. I see the illustration you do. They always like saying something or going through something, sharing a moment they're living in, and that's really fantastic. That's really inspiring. Do you use this kind of art that's as the characters are really saying something and interacting and sharing something about themselves in RPGs too, or I because I usually see this kind of art in like illustrations. They kind of sound like the New Yorker cartoons, like this image and saying something, and they're delivering a message. But I don't remember seeing this kind of art that's already saying something. The characters like alive like this in an illustration you did. Do you remember using this kind of language in an RPG or an adventure you did too?
Yeah, well, I don't know if I do. I don't think I tried doing it like consciously, but because of the way I work, it's certainly like
Yeah, I think it's intrinsic, right? They always do like that.
yeah.
But I meant like the balloons and the small sayings or something that I've seen you do it.
Oh yeah, I would love to include more like codes from the comic book stuff, like you say, word balloons and stuff like
Yeah.
that in the RPG material. But for some reason, I don't allow myself to do it a lot. And when I draw for other people, I try to not do it because I think that they only want illustration. Like I assume that people
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
want that, but I should allow myself to go there more often and explore that.
Yeah, that could be interesting, like doing something like this, especially as you said, like make different codes and like explore like a cozy game. I know you do. Your art seems kind of childlike art, but it's kind of so mysterious, so weird, and has this weird horror hidden sometimes of the illustrations you make for Mothership and other fantasy games. And how did you arrive in this style that combines comfy and cutesy with horror and mystery and sometimes even discomfort too?
Yeah, I think because I come from two directions at the same time. Like on one side, I have the whimsical creature. Like I like taking care of them, and I give them uh like I build little stories around them and stuff. And from the other side, also I am very interested, like from the body horrors, and I did like struggle with depression and gender dysphoria, body dysphoria, and stuff like that. So that side also I love to explore that darker side. But sometimes I draw something dark, and I like, oh, but that monster is not so bad. Maybe you want a friend. And sometimes I do like something cute, and I'm like, oh, that's actually a bit creepy. I will push that a bit more. So yeah, I have these two things that keep interacting in some ways. And I really like that when I reach that middle ground. That's a really fun space to explore.
Yeah, it's fascinating for me, and that thing you said about monsters being kind of they're not comprehended, and people don't understand. Maybe they're not all monsters. They're going through something to do that. That's kind of always feel like when you're on the street and people like you're driving and some crosses you and do something bad. We're always like feel irritated with them. I always try to remember, okay, maybe they're not bad. They're just going to something bad, and that's why they're doing that. To have kind of exercise this understanding, because sometimes we are not okay. We screw up too, right? And
Yeah.
and we try to understand that we tried to do the best, but we because of something else we couldn't be our best in that moment. And I always try to extend that to other people. And it's fun to see how you do that in your art, in your illustrations. It's really something I never thought about doing in my work, in my art, in my illustrations, and something cool to think about. And that's what you do.
Mm. Yeah, because we never have like the full context of anything. Like it's always like just like a point of view from a single frame that we
Yeah,
get. Like so especially for adventuring stuff, like you don't know like
yeah,
the lore or the background or whatever is going on behind some random
yeah.
things that you often don't think, like maybe that goblin had a bad breakfast and so,
Yeah, and that's actually what RPGs and games are like, because we experience the world through our lenses, and it's very limited. We only have our senses and our experience to make this model of the world and function in it. But RPGs offer like new models. You can be this kind of creature, you can be this kind of creature, you can have this kind of experiences, and you doing that and showing, even though not like explicitly, these monsters may have other sides, you are showing players and people playing these games other ways to see reality, even through fiction. And I think that's an excellent work, and I really want to congratulate you for doing this.
yeah,
Uh,
thanks.
well, another question, like, do you think RPGs are weird in itself? Are they a weird game, a weird medium? And if you do, what's like the weirdest thing for you in RPGs, and why do you like this, or are you fascinated and like to explore it?
I think that RPG are really weird because of the way how they are like the result of different people working at different time. Like you have the the game author in the past that did something, and you have the illustrators, and you have like all kind of elements after that, the GM that did the prep, and now in the present these elements combine together in something new immersion. And I think that's something weird but also very fascinating and interesting, and I really like that. And I really like also how a thing that I find interesting is how RPG are books, but often they're not considered books. Like I work at a library, and and RPG, because they are kind of game, but they are also printed as book, but they are rarely placed with the books, and like they
Oh yeah.
are rarely considered. Like you will need like a young librarian that is into RPG that will make an effort to add some to the
Oh,
collection or something. But they it always felt for me that like they had like that weird marginalized space in the library that they were like not really books but not really board game, and so yeah.
yeah, that's really interesting to say. I've I've been watching like classes on fiction, and I had a new game and said that books are like they're in the format of doors, because they're like doors to other worlds to
Mm,
explore. And 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 then I'm doing other course about game design, that books deal with empathy. You learn things empathizing with the characters, but games work with agency because you are the character doing stuff. And then made me think about books would be like windows to other worlds, and games and RPGs are really the doors to this world, because you really get there, really get to explore. And as you said about working through time, it's made me even more like it's books that you travel through time, because the game is incomplete. Someone made it in. You can play a game made in the 70s, in the 80s, and have these ideas, all this cultural identity that you get to explore today, but you complete it with the baggage and experience you have today. So you playing the same game in the seventh, you would play it one way, and you would play it now being completely different. You would play in completely another way. So RPGs in itself, they change as you change playing them, because as you play, you have to complete and you collaborate these authors from years and years ago. Yeah, that's very interesting way for you to put it, and made me see them in an even larger context. I always saw them as collaborative, but now it's like collaboration through time, and then that's fantastic. Thank you for this analogy, and yeah.
Yeah, it's why sometimes it can be some weird mix, like when sometimes some things was written far away and the cultural code they've shifted, and
Yeah,
and now we get inspiration again from it, but with like all different slants from today. So yeah,
yeah.
there's a lot
Sometimes the same thing you explore a few years ago, and you explore like after, I mean, 5 years, you learned so much. You will see this in a completely new light.
mm,
What would you think would be like the weirdest RPG thing, RPG material? It would be a game, adventure, or module, or supplements you ever made for RPGs? And why would it is so weird for you, and why you explored it?
uh, one of the weirdest thing I've done was back during the Google Plus time. I was experimenting with print format from print on demand, and so I was looking at the list of format and trying stuff. And so I wanted to do like paper miniatures, and I printed like a book that was called Paper Biome, and in it was like pages of paper miniatures to be cut, and I also included rules to simulate like a biome and to use the paper miniature to create an ecosystem, and
Wow,
it was a mess. It was totally unfunctionable, and
it
people were
sounds
too
very
afraid,
cool.
and no one wanted to cut the miniatures from the
Oh yeah,
book.
yeah. Cutting a book is very hard. I'm kind of learning to not feel so attached to books, so I can like notes on them. Like even DCC, like I have a bunch of DCC books because I was a collector and stuff, and I had to buy a duplicated one to start writing in the book. But I'm trying to get rid of, because it's all objects, and if you interact with them, it will make it more richer, But we have this collector mentality. Uh, but I would love to see that, because I actually turned to explore this kind of games of building stuff. It's not like zero sum or adventure like Sin City or something, but analog. And as you said, that sounds very cool. I had this idea of making like a socialist Animal Crossing. So games like this would be very inspiring to do. How they manage like a community or a space or an ecosystem, that would be interesting to see. And because of your art being this cozy and weird, would be, I think, would be perfect for this kind of game. And it made me very curious about this. Is it still
Yeah,
available anywhere?
no, it was back on Lulu, and
Yeah.
that's I've closed my Lulu store because it's changed too many things in their apps. But yeah, it's a weird artifact. Some people still have it.
Yeah. Well, if you ever
Yeah.
do that again, and would like to talk about it, and I would be really cool to explore this idea.
Well, I miss, so I've been ended up in virtual a lot, like doing a lot of publishing a lot of PDF, and now I'm trying to return towards like printing uh zines as physical object, and I feel the desire again to experiment with format, trying like to do like a weird landscape design or
Yeah.
weird like elongated design and use like try to do some stuff like
Yeah.
that. So sometimes I see people do it, but no, I was not that much. Like I would love to see more people experiment with the physical like product
Yeah.
of the
A
as
median. I
RPG.
explore the median.
Mhm.
Yeah. I love these books that started using the end sheets with tables and stuff, and it can open and use at the table, like die drop stuff. And I even bought a comedy album by Bo Burnham that the format would be perfect to make like this RPG album, because they have this acetate covers that you can change between discs and would alter the image behind. So you could like make a map that would alter because, oh, you went to the shadow dimension and you put that cover over it and the map changes and stuff like this. And Bo Berman is very inspiring, not only because of the format of the album, which is right, it's right here, like the album.
Okay.
But the music is very good, and the way they explore the medium and creativity, and I like to explore the format too. It's very cool to see other people doing that, and I think there's some people pushing this stuff, like Game Universe, like doing the X stuff, and they publish weird formats of like zines, and I think you could explore that too, and I hope I will do that someday too. I think RPGs they avoid exploring the medium a lot. We're always thinking about what's happening in our imaginations, and we forget to play with the tools we have, like the books, the dice, or miniatures, or something that you could play tactically, like with your hands, you know.
And now we are torn between like playing online, playing in person. So like the dice drop table were such a fun thing, like that people had a lot of fun with. But now that most of us play online, like I feel like dice drop table is less tempting to do, like to include in something. Like I will never use a dice drop table when I play online because it's too complicated. I need to get that on my desk, and anyway the other players don't see it. And I think that a lot of fun from the dice drop table is that everybody at the table see the table and the dice falling on it. And so yeah,
I haven't thought about that.
I feel like there's some kind of tension between these two things, like
for sure,
physical object, and on the other side you are like, oh, but we need practical stuff to play online.
Or do you think about that a lot? Like, because I really don't enjoy playing online that much. I really would rather play in person, and I mostly play online like to promote something. And if I'm starting to play people like, oh, let's make a campaign, I'll try my best to get something here to play with people, because I get too distracted on the computer. I don't know how about you, but I realized too that that's what I enjoy. I enjoy the physicality. I enjoy seeing people. I enjoy like sharing like a snack or having people at the table. So I kind of made a decision. Okay, I'm gonna design for a table experience. I like the drop tables. I like the tactical stuff, and that's the stuff I'm passionate about. So, do you consider a lot about where are you designing for? You are designing for playing online VTTs, or designing for people to play on your table? Because you said you are kind of thinking about the physicality and how to play with pieces. So that's gonna be really hard for online, right?
Yeah. Like I say, I feel like a tension between the two things, because like I play a lot online. I don't have like a in real life group, except with some friends that we play like once every 2 months. But so I play a lot of games online. So when I design, often design stuff that I want to use and play with. So that pushed me toward us trying to craft things that are easily usable online. And for online stuff, I don't like gadget for virtual tables like lightning and stuff. That I find that too distracting. I really like simple stuff that you can only play with like with a chat, voice chat and text chat beside it sometime. And so yeah, but so when I'm designing as material stuff, I'm more sad. I don't know, it's maybe sad a bit, but I'm more thinking about like, oh, object that people like to have and that will put in their library or like to manipulate and collect, than playing at the table.
Well, one thing about maybe doing physical stuff for games is like we're doing solo games, because people will play solo analogically no matter where, right? So some of the tables are like that drop stuff I'm making will be usable on a group, but it would be really useful on solo. So I'm not that too worried about that. But I have another question that's kind of a new one. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I just want to say that that's an interesting thing, that solo game enable that physicality back into it because it's only one person in a physical
Yeah.
space. Yeah, that's interesting.
And even though like virtual tabletop grew a lot, solo game also like grew a lot. So I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
something we can explore. So I have like a new question that I thought about after this episode. So you'll be like the first one I'm asking you this. So do you have like a weird ritual you do like before you start working as you're like creating or something? I've started now singing this song. That's kind of a knowledge for me for my creativity journey because I read a book. They would recite the invocation of the muse from Homer in Iliad,
Okay.
but I didn't like that very much. So I thought about like a punk rock song that I have that's kind of a metaphor for you, like you keep going. It's a punk rock show. Things get difficult. You only have 15 minutes, but you have to show what you got and just keep going. It's something that I now I sing before I start working. Do you have anything like similar, like a funny hat or anything you do? Like the way you sharpen your pencils. I have a teacher that would like spend like half an hour like sharpening his pencil with a knife and stuff like this.
Uh, no, not really, but I would say that my ritual is going to the coffee shop like each morning.
Oh yeah, that's
I
something.
w
Yeah.
I wake up, I do my makeup, and I go to the coffee shop, and I've settled out my table. I've
Oh yeah,
maybe
the
like
smell
three,
of coffee. Yeah.
I have my three favorite spots in the coffee shop that I try to switch between ones. And yeah, the coffee shop, going to coffee shop is kind of a ritual for me. Like it's, I do it like every day. It's kind of like reassuring, and also get me out of my apartment, which is
Yeah.
very good for me. And
That's help you get in the frame of mind, like, oh, I'm going to do my work. That's what it's all about. Like I sing the music, like so okay, let everything out. I'm gonna do my work, and that's basically what you do. So I have a
yeah,
question. What
wait,
how are
what do
you
you,
affected when you go there and like your spot is taken? Like you said, you have like a favorite spot. Does that get you shaking on your beats or just move to
oh
other
yeah.
place or oh yeah.
Yeah, sometime the coffee shop is full and there's a lot of people. It's a popular place because they close late. So there's some people that use it kind of like a bar a bit, like to get together. And
Oh,
so
okay.
so sometimes it's and when it's crowded that totally unbalanced me. Like I've started using like noise canceling headphone and trying to get some trick to be able to remain in my own bubbles. But sometimes it just don't work and I need to walk
Yeah.
back home and I'm not happy when I do that. But
Do you
yeah,
always go
that's
to the same coffee shop, or do you have some ones you go to when for example this one is full? Do you have another one?
well back in the day there was another coffee shop that I did like, but it closed. So now I only have this one. And
Okay,
it's also the only one that closed late. So that I
yeah.
like because sometimes I go like at 9 or 10 and I take a small espresso and I work until it's closed at 11 and I like that late evening
Are you
vibe.
able to sleep afterwards, like drinking coffee at 11 or something?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I'm so used to caffeine that I can't sleep with an espresso.
Yeah, I was drinking too much, and after if I started drinking after 5 or something, I have a hard time sleeping. So like I take my last coffee at 5. Okay, oh it's 5 o'clock. I have to drink my last coffee
Mm,
because it keeps
well,
me working until like 11 or midnight or something.
yeah, it will depend if I think like if I'm getting starting to think about something I have racing thoughts before
Oh yeah.
bed and now I will have harder time sleeping. But yeah. Oh, another funny thing I do sometimes at the coffee shop, sometimes I bring one of my little Transformer toys with me and I put it beside my keyboard as a little companion. Something, dude.
Nice. Yeah, that's great. That also helps you get you there. Like you have this companion, and like I'm not alone in this. I have companionship. I have my friends here in this journey. What would you say would be like the weirdest game you ever played? It can be even like RPG you read, a session you played, or even a campaign, a kind of role playing game you said, "Oh, this is the weirdest thing, and I love it for it."
Uh, I would say that I had some weird experience. like when I started role-playing games when I was younger, and we did not knew what we were doing, and
Yeah.
that we were trying to be immersive, and sometimes it got a bit weird, like in the make-believe and of things like playing werewolves, the apocalypse, and other
Oh
World
yeah.
of Darkness game where we were kind of falling down the rabbit hole a bit, believing in these stuff, and so that was fun too. But that was like another mindset of things. Like while these days, I'm more conscious about like how the things going on socially at the table and how things are, are done. So I think my game session are less weird now, but
Yeah, I remember back in the days of World of Darkness. I was a teenager. I basically only played like D&D and other like fantasy medieval stuff. And Vampire came out. I got it. I read it. I found it fantastic. I read like Annie Rice novels to get in the mood, and then I would
mm,
start playing with my players, and they just wanted to blow everything out. And I looked for the people, and people were like taking this really serious. There was like these kids at the shopping mall. They would dress like vampires, and they would basically playing live action all the time, everywhere. So that was a little bit weird for me because I was in like the punk rock kids crowd. I would try to talk to them, and they would say, "No, I'm a vampire." Okay, dude, yeah, I know you're a vampire, but like afterwards, after the shopping closed, we're going to this bar, and then like there's bands. Let's go there and chat. No, after this, I have to go to the Prince and everything. They wouldn't break character like anywhere. And I had these friends that would like taking a taxi, and they were just coming out of like a live action, and they were talking about killing another vampire, and they got to the taxi cab, and they're starting talking about killing that person without considering the taxi driver that was there. Was like, who the hell are these people? And when the taxi dropped them and they were about to pay him, and they said, no, no, that's okay, it's all good, it's all good, and he just went away because he was afraid of them. So
yeah, I can imagine a lot of things that happen with LARPing and stuff. For me, LARPing was never like a thing because uh I was in the closet as a trans woman, and I was, in tabletop, what I did enjoy a lot was to be able to play female characters, and LARP.
mhm.
I could not for a LARP, I was not feeling comfortable doing that. I was too afraid. So I never wanted to play LARPs because I was feeling like I was limited by my body because of that. So
Yeah,
I much
I see.
preferred paper tabletop role-playing game because imagination, you can use it to be
Yeah, of course.
anything you want. Yeah.
Yeah, but would you have liked it to do that, or even now, or in the future? I mean, I always felt like too much shy. Like I don't know if I can be a vampire because you would see these scenes like we're talking to someone, and then people would make that hand gesture like it was obfuscation or something to become invisible. It's in right beside you. Okay, I'm invisible. Continue talking naturally. You can't. Like I see you. I don't know.
Yeah,
I I
I
w-
prefer
yeah, I feel kind
I
of
pre
weird. I don't know if I would be able to, but it sounds fun. The pictures look great.
mm, I prefer I'm
Yeah,
very introverted, and I prefer table,
yeah,
and yeah, and
yeah.
especially with
Me
people I
too.
don't know, sometimes
Oh, for
I
sure.
can
Yeah,
I can
yeah,
close down and not and just oops.
yeah. Even like playing conventions is always kind of weird. Like we don't know who is gonna show up and things like this. Uh, have you ever had any like weird experiences, like even like out of body experiences, or have you ever seen a ghost, or have you ever you know see anything you said, oh, alien or any creature like mythological or cryptid or anything like that would like to share, or any
Uh,
impression? Because I've had some experience like this. I don't believe them, but I share too.
Yeah, I love these things. I love reading about these things, but I've not experienced anything myself, and I'm very skeptical minded, and but I find them fascinating, and I also find like the the debunking of these things also very interesting, and but yeah, I love that. But yeah, I did not experience anything like that feel.
Have you always been this static, or have you ever not be a believer, or when you were younger, did you like felt like this could be encounter? Have you ever looked for it in any form? Like you'd go like this old house and say, "Hey, is there any ghosts here?" and try to find something, or no?
Well, Uh, well, because I have a lot of, I always had a lot of imagination, and so when I was younger, I was very into religion because I was imagining all the things, and later it shifted a bit, like of worshiping the moons and other like witchery stuff that I was really into, and the spirits and things. But eventually, I moved away from that, and I switched my relationship to these things through art, like through drawings and
Yeah,
things, instead of uh, believing in those things outside of it. But I really love
yeah.
like cultivating and nurturing imagination.
I see. Would you like to talk a little bit how was the journey for you to be like a believer until you became basically a ascetic or atheist? Because I grew up religious too. I went to Catholic school. My parents then become this religion that's from Japan. It's called Messianica here in Brazil. They do the like the jure thing, and I was really in a youth group, and then I started asking questions, and then I moved away from it. Uh, would you like to talk a little bit about this, or how was this discovery or this your journey for you?
Well, I would say that uh, I kind of at first I moved away like from Christianity because it was too masculine, and I felt uncomfortable in all these symbols, masculine symbol and trope and things. So that was the shift, that thing that pushed me toward more like moon
That's true.
worship and other things. And what did happen is that I was very, very lonely, and feeling a lot of dysphoria, and feeling like I could not be myself eating, and I put a lot of myself into these things to try to suit these feelings and stuff, but it did not work. I was still stuck with them, and I got exhausted by that. And at some point, I had like a teacher that was very influential for me. He was a very great artist, and he was also more rational and everything, and that connected with me. And at some point, I was like, okay, that's enough. I need to do action in the real world, like try to be myself, try to move forward as a person, instead of trying to find like a way to feel good like in these things. So I move it like from that sphere to more like action and doing things. And so but I
Strengthening
still,
yourself, right? Yeah,
yeah, but I
yeah.
still like respect these things
Yeah,
like from a distance, and like yeah.
yeah, it's very inspirational. I mean, even though I don't believe, I always seek this stuff too, and I always there's like this comedian that I liked, which what inspired the show, Pete Holmes, that he likes to say he grew Christian, but he became a comedian, which is basically like people are all heretic and stuff, and this, and he's still very spiritual, and he says like that uh for him God is like consciousness. We all have this, like we're all manifestation of God. Like God's not this thing that's all good and know all and fix all, because it doesn't, right? So we are
Mm,
all parts of this. We're all connecting in this way because we are the way the universe invented itself to explore itself, because no other creature explore uh, the universe as we do. Like we have abstract thinking, and kind of makes me think about this kind of things. Uh, and about weird experience, but about weird things like you're consuming right now, the weird things like you're noticing. It could be like TV shows or fiction or comics or books or anything. Like you were walking by and you saw this weird tree, and that kind of inspired you in some way. Do you have anything like you're experiencing right now that you think it's weird and inspiring you in any way?
I the last thing that did inspire me in a fun way was going down the rabbit hole about the Transformer Toys franchise. I did like go deep in it and learning about like origin of these toys, why these toys share this name with this other name, and there is all that kind of weird character that emerged from the mix of like a person trying to create a character with that as an author and also the constraint of the toys that need to be made. And this is such a weird mess. It's like comic books, kind of like older comic books where there's a lot of things that is a mix from the industry and also from the creativity of like people working and making these things. But yeah, I found that very funny to see like how like these things, like some character changing gender because they use the mold from another character that is of different
Oh,
gender, and now the character that toys have this body shape, so they change the gender of the character, and now the character becomes the new incarnation of so there's a I was
yeah.
fascinated by that film interaction, and uh, yeah, I did write a bit of a game about that and stuff, but I put that in the for later folder where there's a lot of stuff.
Nice. I have you seen the last movie, Transformer, the one with Optimus Primal? I saw that yesterday with my kids. I kind of liked
Yeah.
it. I don't know much about Transformer, but I accompany what my kids see, and I'm liking very much. I even got some comics, and I really wanted to see that original Transformer movies. That's kind of psychedelic and have all this weird
Oh
music,
yeah,
uh,
this one's
but it's
fun.
really hard to find here.
Yeah, I don't like the live action movie because they are too serious and they're trying to be realistic, and I find it boring. And I like the comics and some of the animation because they can be more imaginative and they can
Yeah,
do weird stuff. And the
yeah,
movie rarely want to do that, except some cringe weird design for the character to do sometime. But yeah, I'm not a fan of the live action movies.
yeah. Have you seen Bumblebee? Bumblebee is like more light, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
more
Bumblebee
fun. I
was,
like it.
yeah, yeah.
I think
I
it's
thought
my
that,
favorite one so far.
yeah, I thought this one was nice because it was more like a character driven with, yeah, I did enjoy this.
Yeah. As I talked about this Transformer, like the psychedelic experience and stuff, have you ever done psychedelics or have any kind of this experiencing of like seeing reality in like in a different way? It can be even through meditation or any other thing that alter your perception of reality. And how did it
Uh,
make you feel, or how did it change anything if you had that experience or no?
no, no, I'm very, but I've been having like very deep dreams, like with like characters that come back and that like dreaming
Nice.
about like people in a generation ship and like meeting characters, blah blah blah, and like very involved dreams and like dreaming again like 2 months later and like time I
It's
spend on the
great.
ship and people say, hey, this is what happened to that person in the ship. And I was like, oh yeah. So it was kind of like returning back and that things were still moving on in my dream
That's
world
great.
while I was conscious of it. And so I really find that fascinating. And I really like medium or movie that explores some of these things. Like I really like Stanislav Lem Solaris with like like construct that the alien entity create like a character, and that character at some point realize that they are just like a construction, like like an unreal person, but
Oh,
they kind of become real by realizing. So I really like these kind of things, and I think it's also why I really like stories about AI that becomes sentient like a person. So I really like this kind of stuff too. Yeah.
yeah. Well, do you think this stories like these dreams you have? Do you have them like constantly? Do you always have dreams? Because I rarely remember the dreams I have. Sometimes when I do, they're really inspired. I get something out of them. But do you usually remember dreams, and do you use them to inspire the stuff you make, or it's just like rarely happens like with me?
Yeah, no, I think it's very random, but it's maybe it's not that random. Maybe it's more like quality of sleep related and stuff. But
Oh yeah,
yeah, like lately I've not been dreaming much or don't remember. But dreams are a bit like something you need to nurture. You need like if you keep
yeah,
attention and you talk about them afterward, you remember more. And like it's like people when they keep dream journal, like you need to nurture it, or
yeah,
otherwise just wake up and forget and move on.
yeah.
Mhm.
I gotta try to do that. Do you have any tips for people who wanna try to cultivate their dreams more? Like, do you do anything before bed? Like, do you think of something, or like to say, "Oh, I will go to my spaceship tonight," or something, or no?
Uh, well,
Because
I
I
think
heard people doing that. I don't know if it works or not.
yeah, I think it helped. Like it's not automatic. Like there's no guarantee
Oh
that it
yeah,
will
of
work.
course.
But yeah. If you go to bed without like being online a lot before, like not doing social media before bed, so you try to have a good quality of sleep. And in the morning, if you keep notes and or draw some of the things you dream, that will train you to remember and stuff. But that's also really related to like physical, just how you sleep. Like I think you need to go
Yeah,
into deep slumber state to be
yeah.
able to get these kind of rich dream. And if you keep waking up, it will be hard
Yeah, I
to
don't, but I haven't remembers. Like I did exams and said, "Oh, you have a good quality of deep sleep," but I don't remember. Like I rarely remembers anything. And when I do, they're really weird, and I love it. But I wish
yeah.
I could steal more for myself, because that's always this like steal like an artist, and no way to steal for yourself is steal for your dreams. But I have to work more on that.
Yeah, I'm really fascinated by, some like a weird fantasy writer that did use a lot of their dreams to create their things. So yeah, that's also always interesting, fascinating to read about.
You talking about taking notes of your dreams. Like, do you have notebooks? Do you always keep them ready if you have an idea, or write people down? Do you have multiples for each use, or do you have one use for like everything?
I got a lot of notebooks that are also sketchbooks. So in my books, I do sketches and take notes and yeah, like for doing game design, like to play with my ideas and like brainstorm. I think it's much better on paper for me.
Oh yeah,
And I doodle a lot. I love doodling. So that's the thing I do because doodling is like you stop worrying or thinking or judging what you do. You just
yeah,
like fill a page with drawing, and sometimes stuff emerge that is fun
yeah.
that you can keep, but other time it's just doodling and it's okay, it's fine. So I think doodling is very important for me because I'm so stressed all the time and I'm so perfectionist that doodling for me is like the way to relax and to stop and to letting go of things.
I had a teacher in art school that would say that you have to do stuff with your hands, because your hands have memories. Your
Hmm.
brain do not. So if you start doodling, you probably make something you wouldn't imagine in your head, as your hand would try to do something like a generational memory or something like that. I love this teacher. He told me so much stuff about this. And yes, like uh, having it physical and not have this barrier of glass between us and our work, is I think it's very important to help us play with what we're creating. And play is so important, like for artists and creation, and not
Yeah.
being dragged by this perfectionism and uh, make this perfect on the screen. It's there, and you can master, you can erase it, you can like push arrows on it. So that's a great way to work with stuff. And I'm always impressed by creators that do great stuff, and they say, "Oh, do you have a notebook?" "Oh no, I just have an idea," and then I started working on it. I'm like, "Wow, how what do you do when you finish that one? You want to do the next one? I get my notebook and I see a lot of ideas. I just keep doing what I was doing before, but then, I don't know, I just have another idea and do something else. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. When I draw, often also what I do is I do what I call following the lines. Like I start drawing something and I just don't know what I'm drawing, and I follow like what will be beautiful to add on the page, and that creates like something. And like often I like to try to surprise myself a bit and to
Yeah,
find discovery, and that's really fun. And but
yeah,
that's also
yeah.
what I
That's
love with role-playing games, to discover
to
things that
discover. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
You play with the thing you're creating. Like that's great. Uh, about something else. Like, do you believe in anything? I said you have experience. Do you believe in anything weird? Like I said, you're like static and stuff. What about like conspiracies or anything like that, or anyone you find interesting, or
No, I don't
other planes, like planes of existence, or alien
no.
life in other planets, or even that.
Like I say, I'm very skeptical, and I know a bunch about conspiration, especially because trans people are the target of a bunch of conspiration. So
Unfortunately, yeah.
I listen about people talking about that and stuff. But one of the things that's kind of adjacent with that I find interesting is City, Search for Intelligence Life, like the real program for listening to the stars. And I love astronomy and like space exploration and all that kind of stuff. Like I was so excited when the New Horizon probe arrived to Pluto. That was such a great moment. So that's my feel good stuff. I really love like space stuff because it's all interesting, and it's I don't know, like it's like
Yeah,
finding new stuff away from the depressing hateful stuff on Earth. I don't know. It feels good.
yeah. I think helps put things in perspective, right? Sometimes we like feel so overwhelmed about all of this that's happening, and knowing that the universe is like so much bigger. We're just like a speck of dust in like this overwhelming scheme of things. And I'm really fascinated about that too. I just like read one of the last books Stephen Hawking wrote before he died, like the big
Mhm.
questions of like he tries to answer like briefly some big questions. He talks about space exploration, alien life, and how they're like building something that like the future of humanity has to go to be through the stars, because uh, I don't know if our planets can take too much of us anymore, and if we want to survive, we'll have to go somewhere. And it's really fascinating to see how the scientific view changes over time as discovering new things. It's very cool. I know you're like a ascetic, you don't believe in all of the stuff, but if there would be like one thing I would choose of all these weird, fantastical, and totally uh, not real things, what would you like to be like real? Would it be
Uh,
aliens or ghosts or like the moon goddess or anything like this?
I don't know. I think I love like the ideas of ghosts, because it's kind of like eternal consciousness, which it could be like scary too, but but uh yeah, that could be fascinating. Like if it was real, like that will influence humanity to be able to talk with the past and people from the past and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But that yeah, I don't know if it will be a good thing or bad thing. And naturally, contact with alien life could be a very like interesting thing too. Uh, and the thing I do, well, I not do, but that I like exploring a bit. I like stuff like tarot cards. I find them fascinating, and I wish I had the time to draw like a set of tarot card on my own. I
Oh
think
yeah,
that's that yeah
that would be
that's
cool.
very
Yeah,
beautiful. But yeah,
it
it's
would
a lot of work.
really
It's a lot
make
of work.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I
So
thought
many
about
cards.
creating one too. Yeah.
So many
Well,
cards.
if you would like ghosts to be real, like what ghost would you like to meet? The ghost of someone you would like to meet? Because now you set up that I kept imagining. Imagine we could have like ghosts of past artists be our mentors or teachers, something. Like imagine this school of arts with all these ghosts of great people that did great job in the past. I don't know.
Yeah, that I think I think more of a ghost like about myself, like about like
Oh yeah, keep
I
creating.
would
Yeah, that same thing. We would be able to keep creating. Like, oh, I died, but I keep making games. I keep making art. I keep making stuff.
uh, I would like to be a ghost and be able to be invisible and explore the world and like see all the things and talk with the people that I find interesting, like from a from the safe
Uh,
point of not being there. Um,
oh yeah.
but but
When I was a kid, that was one of my favorite like superpowers. Like I wanted to be invisible, just to see people, just to see stuff,
mm,
and not be and not feel threatened by it. I guess too. Like I said, I was super shy too, but I wanted to get to know things, but I wouldn't. I would. I was afraid. I guess I was a very scared kid.
yeah, me too. I can relate to that. And and yeah, but yeah, being a ghost is like being invisible and vulnerable. So that's
Yeah,
kind of neat
and
for
go through
exploration.
walls and fly and go
Yeah,
anywhere. And like, that's great. Yeah.
they're the best
That's actually a
explorers.
great question for me to add too. Like ask guests here, like if you could have any superpower, what would it be and why? Because I think that's tells a little bit about us, right? Uh,
Mm. Would be fun. A game about ghosts doing dungeon crawling, so they can they can just go in and get all the layout and stuff because they can just pass through the wall. And
yeah, yeah. Well, our ghost game about ghosts that go explore the world and come back to report to his ghost friends. What all these weird living people are doing, you know?
yeah, it could be fun.
That could be fun too. Well, Evelyn, I think those are the questions. I had a great time talking to you. Oh, sorry, one more thing. Like, are you working on anything specifically right now? Anything weird you want to share about, or the weirdest thing about this module you're like working right now?
Yeah, I've just printed with another creator, Let, who do zine. They do a zine for Cyborg, but we've done a little design together, and it's about little creatures, and it's a rhizoprint, and it's I use two colors, and
Oh,
it is
nice.
like our first attempt at I'm at getting more physical and printing things and exploring weird formats. So we're trying to craft like weird little object as design by doing that. So that's the first one we're doing, and I'm pretty excited about that. Let know a bunch of things about printing, so physical printing and stuff. So that's a
Yeah,
good team up for me. And but yeah, I've also a lot of weird ideas. So yeah, I hope we'll do more, but we should be able to. People should be able to get it maybe next week because we need to assemble the copies and everything.
yeah. What's the name of the module?
Uh, oh
The
yeah, the design is called a handful of groblings. Uh, it
cool.
is
Yeah.
yeah, it is inspired from a scene in the anime Vampire Hunter D, where in Vampire Hunter D encounter like all kind of weird organic like little creatures, and we were like, oh, these guys are so neat. We want to do a design inspired by them, and that's what we
Nice.
did.
Very cool. I'm excited to see it because I love risograph zines. They always look cool, and sometimes when the colors just match a little bit, they even make more rich because they make
Yeah.
you unique. You know, I love that. And as I said, thank you very much for being here. Where if people want to find you, if want to find your work, well, where they can find you, even on Twitter or your products or games on each, where can they find Evlyn Moreau or her work?
I would say the best place will be my Patreon. But you need,
Which
you
is
need
excellent, by the way.
$1 by month. But beside that, I'm on nearly all the platform except X Twitter because of the transphobia over there. But so I'm trying to post like a lot online, so you can follow me like on Blue Sky, Mastodon, Instagram. There's also my itch page, and my old blog, but I rarely use it these days.
We'll have all the we'll have all the links on the show notes for your stuff on Itch or Drive Through, and then your socials for people to explore your work and see how you mix all this creative writing, fiction, RPGs, and art, and the cutest, weird, and sometimes terrifying illustrations you do. And I had a really great time talking to you. I've learned a lot, as I said to you. We're having these insights and we're trading, and my vision for RPGs are even bigger now thanks to you. And I had a really great fun, and I hope you like it too. Do you have any last word to say to people listening at home?
I really love your the podcast. I listened to the first 3 episodes, and I think it's great work you're doing. And I think talking about weird stuff is important and nice. And for the people at home, it's just create, even if you don't do much, even if it's just for yourself and you doodle. That's amazing, and I respect that a lot.
Thank you, and people, remember, just be weird, be yourself, be wonderful, and let's keep it weird. Thank you for listening to Weird Games and Weirder People. If you'd like to keep up with the show, please subscribe to be notified when we release new episodes. If you'd like to support us, please leave a review or head on to code-fi.com/WGNWP. See you next time, and remember, weird is the new wonderful.